Emily's radiant beauty would fade, transforming her into an old and haggard woman. Shocked and horrified, the admirer quickly turned away, leaving Emily confused and heartbroken. As Emily continued to mingle with the party guests, she remained blissfully unaware of the transformation overtaking her face whenever someone approached her with admiration. Each time an admirer spoke to her, her features shifted softly, morphing into those of an old, unfamiliar woman. Confusion clouded Emily's mind as she noticed the strange reactions of those around her. Once upon a time, in a vibrant city in Nigeria, there were two friends named Emily and Sarah. From a young age, they were inseparable. They attended the same school, played together, ate together, and did everything side by side. Their bond was strong, and they were more like sisters than friends. Emily was exceptionally beautiful, capturing the attention and admiration of everyone she met. Her radiant smile and warm demeanor instantly put everyone at ease. Her kindness knows no bounds, extending to both young and the elderly in her community. She is always eager to lend a helping hand. She often goes out of her way to support those in need, whether it's through small acts of kindness or more significant gestures of support. This selfless nature has earned her the admiration and love of many, making her a cherished figure among all who know her. Sarah, though also beautiful, did not receive the same level of attention as Emily. This disparity sowed seed of jealousy and envy in Sarah's heart. Despite their friendship, Sarah often finds herself scolding Emily whenever she sees her lending a helping hand to others. She teases Emily by tagging her as "Notice Me," believing that Emily's acts of kindness are just a way to attract attention. Sarah's skepticism contrasts with Emily's genuine compassion. Deep down, she desired to be noticed and admired just like her friend Emily. Despite her efforts, she never seemed to garner the same admiration. As they grew older, Sarah's jealousy festered. She could no longer bear the constant comparisons and overshadowing presence of Emily's beauty. Feeling desperate to gain the admiration and attention that Emily naturally possessed, an idea sparked in Sarah's mind. Sarah decided to visit a seer. She ventured into the thick forest, the towering trees casting long shadows as sunlight filtered through the dense canopy above. She followed the winding path, the rustling leaves and chirping birds, the only sounds breaking the silence. With each step, she felt a mix of anticipation and trepidation, unsure of what she would encounter in her quest to find the seer. After what seemed like an eternity, Sarah finally spotted a clearing ahead. In the center stood a small, humble hut. With a deep breath, Sarah quickened her pace, her determination driving her forward. As she approached the hut, Sarah's heart raced with anticipation. She knocked gently on the door. Moments later, the door cracked open, revealing the seer standing inside, her wise eyes peering out from beneath a veil of shadows. "Who do you seek, young one?" she thundered, her gaze piercing through Sarah's soul. She begged the seer to bestow upon her the same allure and charm that Emily exuded. "I need your help," she said. "My friend Emily is loved and admired by everyone, but no matter what I do, I never get the same attention. I want to be noticed and cherished just like her." "Your desire is clear, young one. Why do you wish for this admiration so deeply?" "I want to feel valued and appreciated. I see how people flock to Emily, my friend, and I long to have that kind of attention." "Very well. There is a way, but it requires a personal item from Emily, something she has worn and not yet washed. Can you bring this to me?" "An unwashed piece of her clothing? Why do you need that?" The essence of Emily's charm and kindness is woven into the fabrics of her being. To transfer this essence to you, I need something that carries her energy, the seer explained. I understand. I will bring you one of her clothes, but what will you do with it? Leave that to me, young one. Just bring the item. Sarah thanked the seer. I will get them and return as soon as I can. Remember, young one, true admiration comes from the heart. Be sure this is what you truly seek. Sarah left the seer with hopes and anticipation. The next day, she visited Emily. She hesitated for a moment before mustering up the courage to talk to Emily. Emily, darling, she began. I know this might be a bit out of the blue, but I was wondering if I could borrow one of your dresses for my cousin's traditional marriage. You know how much I admire your style, and I would love to wear something of yours to the party. Emily hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her face. I don't know, Sarah, she replied. I am not really comfortable lending out my clothes. Sarah nodded understandingly, but persisted. I totally get that, Emily, but you are my best friend, like a sister to me. I promise to take good care of it, and it would mean so much to me. Emily softened, touched by Sarah's words. After a moment of contemplation, she finally relented. All right, Sarah, she said. You can borrow one of my dresses. Just make sure you return it in one piece, okay? As they rummaged through Emily's wardrobe, Sarah's eyes lit up when she spotted a particular dress inside of a basket meant for washing. Oh, Emily, I love this one, she exclaimed, reaching for it eagerly. Emily hesitated, her brow furrowing slightly. Sarah, that one is unwashed and a bit dirty, she cautioned. Are you sure you want it? Sarah nodded. I don't mind, Emily. I really love this dress, and I promise I will wash it myself when I get home. Emily sighed, relenting to Sarah's insistence. All right, she said with a smile. If you are sure, just be careful with it, okay? Sarah grinned, gratitude shining in her eyes. Thank you, Emily. You are the best. As Sarah held the dress close, Emily couldn't help but admire her friend's excitement. Despite her initial hesitation, she knew that seeing Sarah happy was worth far more than any concerns about a little dirt on a dress. Sarah thanked her profusely, but her gratitude was hollow. She had other plans for the dress. The next day, Sarah hurried back to the seer's hut, the borrowed dress clutched tightly in her hands. With a mix of anticipation and apprehension, she presented the garments to the seer, who studied it with a solemn expression. She performed a dark ritual, using the dress as the focal point. With incantations and strange herbs, she cast a spell that would transform Emily into an old and ugly woman whenever an admirer approached her. Sarah watched with a mix of fascination and satisfaction, imagining the downfall of her friend. Take these clothes back to Emily, she instructed, her tone grave. Make sure she wears it, and heed my warning. Never again shall you wear anything that belongs to Emily, or anything that had entered her body. Failure to comply will bring grave consequences. Sarah's heart sank at the severity of the seer's warning, but she nodded in understanding. I will do as you say, she replied, her voice tinged with uncertainty. With a final nod, Sarah left the hut, her mind racing with thoughts of what awaited her. She knew she had to return the dress to Emily, but the seer's ominous warning lingered in her mind, casting a shadow over her excitement. The next day, Sarah returned the dress to Emily, concealing her wicked joy behind a mask of innocence. Emily, unaware of the curse placed upon her dress, wore it one day to a party with pride. As expected, she attracted a crowd of admirers, but as soon as any admirer came close, Emily's radiant beauty would fade, transforming her into an old and haggard woman. Shocked and horrified, the admirer quickly turned away, leaving Emily confused and heartbroken. As Emily continued to mingle with the party guests, she remained blissfully unaware of the transformation overtaking her face whenever someone approached her with admiration. Each time an admirer spoke to her, Her features shifted softly, morphing into those of an old, unfamiliar woman. Confusion clouded Emily's mind as she noticed the strange reactions of those around her. Some recoiled in shock, while others whispered among themselves, casting concerned glances at her. Yet no one dared to mention the drastic change in her appearance to her directly. These strange occurrences repeated itself the following days. She couldn't understand why. Every admirer who approached her would suddenly run away, their faces filled with inexplicable horror. She got up and walked to the mirror, looking at her reflection. Her own eyes stared back at her, showing a beautiful, youthful face, unmarred by the passage of time. She ran her fingers through her hair, touched her smooth skin, and wondered why others could not see what she saw. Unknown to her, the cause had altered her appearance in the eyes of others, transforming her into an old woman whenever someone looked at her with admiration or affection. This cruel enchantment had kept her isolated and lonely, despite her true beauty and compassionate heart. Emily, once the pride of the neighborhood, now found herself shunned and pitied. Emily's heart shattered into a million pieces when even her fiancé, Michael, the person who knew her best, couldn't recognize her. His eyes, once filled with love and adoration, now only saw an old woman where his beloved Emily should have been. Despite her desperate pleas and tearful explanation, he remained distant, unable to see past the coarse facade that had replaced her true beauty. Day by day, Emily's anguish grew deeper as she watched her friends and loved ones slowly drift away, unable to bear the sight of her altered appearance. As Emily's life became consumed by the curse that had befallen her, Sarah found herself basking in the adoration and attention that once belonged to her friend. With each passing day, she reveled in the admiration of her newfound admirers, enjoying the spotlight that should have rightfully been Emily's. As Michael struggled to come to terms with Emily's transformed appearance, he found solace in the comforting embrace of Sarah. Mistaking her for her beloved Emily, he sought refuge in her embrace, desperate for the warmth and familiarity he once shared with his fiancée. Sarah, unable to resist the longing in Michael's eyes, welcomed him with open arms, her heart swelling with a mix of guilt and desire. She had always harbored a soft spot for Michael, and the opportunity to be close to him in these vulnerable moments filled her with both joy and apprehension. Despite the guilt gnawing at her conscience, Sarah couldn't deny the rush of emotions that surged through her as she held Michael close in her arms. She found a fleeting sense of happiness, but even as she reveled in the intimacy they shared, Sarah couldn't shake the knowledge that their connection was built on a foundation of deception. With each stolen moment, she grappled with the weight of her actions. After stealing Michael from Emily, Sarah cut all ties with her former best friend. She distanced herself completely, leaving Emily heartbroken and abandoned. The betrayal cut deep, leaving Emily to grapple with the loss of not only her fiancé, but also her closest friend. Sarah and Michael's bond deepened over the years, eventually leading them to the altar. Surrounded by loved ones, they exchanged vows of love and commitment, embarking on a new chapter of their lives together as husband and wife. As their marriage blossomed, Sarah and Michael welcomed the joyous arrival of two beautiful children, their laughter filling their home with warmth and love. Meanwhile, despite the challenges she faced, Emily remained steadfast in her kindness and generosity, never allowing the curse that had befallen her to dim her spirit. Though suitors came and went, their sudden departure, leaving her heart heavy with disappointment, she refused to let it define her worth. Emily, despite the heartache of seeing her best friend marry her fiancé, chose to rise above the pain and embrace a path of forgiveness and inner strength. Refusing to let bitterness take root in her heart, she forgave Sarah and Michael, understanding that holding on to resentment would only hinder her own happiness. Instead, Emily channeled her energy into helping others, finding solace and purpose in the act of compassion and selflessness. Whether it was voluntarily at the local shelter, tutoring underprivileged children, or simply lending a listening ear to those in need, she poured her heart and soul into making a positive impact on the world around her. One day, as Emily was walking home from work in the late hours of the evening, she noticed an old woman struggling with a heavy bag. In her generous nature, Emily immediately offered to help her carry the burden. "Let me help you with that," she said kindly, reaching out to take the bag from the old woman's hands. The old woman hesitated for a moment, her eyes weary but eventually nodded, allowing Emily to assist her. They walked together in silence, Emily bearing the weight of the bag without complaint. As they reached the old woman's destination, Emily gently set the bag down and smiled, expecting at least a word of gratitude. Instead, the old woman looked at her, a sharp, scrutinizing gaze in her eyes, and then hissed. Emily stood there, stunned and confused by the woman's reaction. Just as Emily was about to turn away, the old woman called her back. "My daughter," she said, her voice softer and more compassionate. "You have been hurt and betrayed, but your liberation is at hand." Emily's eyes widened in surprise. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and uncertainty. The old woman stepped closer, her gaze intense but kind. "Your heart has remained pure despite the pain you have endured. Because of your unwavering kindness and resilience, your time of liberation is at hand." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she listened to the woman's words. "But how?" she whispered. The old woman reached out and gently touched Emily's cheek. "Continue to live with the same generosity and compassion that you have always shown." The old woman stepped closer. She reached into her cloak and pulled out a beautiful amulet and placed it in Emily's hand, who wore it and admired how beautiful it was. She wondered why the old woman would give her an amulet. As Emily stood in the center of the old woman's house, turning the beautiful amulet over in her hands, her mind swelled with questions. She couldn't help but wonder about the strange woman, who she was, how she knew so much about her life, her hurts and her betrayals, and why she would give her this amulet. As if she read her mind, the old woman replied, "Don't be afraid, my daughter. Time will reveal everything." If you want to know the end to this amazing story, comment "continue" in the comment section as we unravel the mystery behind the amulet and possibly Sarah's faith and Emily's faith too. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do like and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss out on any of our amazing stories. Bye.